Hey guys, it's Gerry coming to you from Rythmia Life Advancement Center in beautiful Guanacaste, Costa Rica. What Rythmia is a life advancement center. For those of you that don't know, it's a life advancement center that focuses on using plant medicines as well as metaphysical teaching and farm to table organic food. It's a really interesting place to be, and we believe in a particular methodology. Hi, Candace. We believe in a particular methodology, and that methodology is one of putting people back with their soul. So what works at Rythmia is this system of using plant medicine to push people back into their soul. It's like soul reclamation. Or soul merging, as we like to call it, and the effects of this are amazing. I mean, people from all over the world come here every week, from all over the world. This week we have people from Cyprus and Ghana and Cameroon and all over Sweden and Finland and Australia every single week. Hi, Marina. They're coming, hey DJ, they're coming from all over the world to participate in this program. And the program honestly has remarkable, hey Matt, remarkable results. And by remarkable, I mean this. About 95% of the people, 94.26% of the people who check out say electronically that they had a life-changing miracle during their stay. And that's no shit. That's no baloney. And so my story is I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I became a multi-millionaire a bunch of times, and not a bunch of times, 3 times, and had a miserable life. And this plant medicine and putting me back in my soul has changed my life and made me, hey Gavin, I'll just move closer, sorry about that, and made me really a different person. And if it wasn't for this plant medicine, I wouldn't be a different person. I'm a completely different animal. So I want to tell you, this is my book called Shit the Moon Said. It's a book, it's available on Amazon. Please get it. At any time throughout this broadcast, please hit share. If you hear something and you want somebody else to hear it, or you have a friend or a Facebook friend that you think can benefit from this, please press share. Facebook changed its rules, and it's now you have to share it. So please do that. So we're going to talk again about putting yourself back together, and about what does this even look like, or what does it feel like. It's a system for, hey Candace, missing you too. It's a system for putting yourself back together, because we believe, and we've been shown by the medicine, that people split from themselves but stay within their aura, and then this split, all disease, addictions, and disorder comes out of this split. And by putting this back together, it changes everything. And it really does change everything. I was a miserable fucking guy. I hated my life, I hated people, and now I'm just tired as hell. But we get between 50 and 85 or 90 people a week here that have this experience, and it mimics the thing that happened to me. And we're changing lives every single day. Today we have a special guest with us. His name is George. And what's interesting about George, it's his second time here. And I love a guest like this because not only can it speak to the first timers, but it speaks to people who are thinking about coming again. George, come on down. You gotta speak loud too, George, because I don't have a friggin' mic going.
It's okay.
So this is my good friend George, and tell us, George, what do you do for a living?
So I'm a digital marketing consultant for some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in the world.
And a high-priced guy at that.
The highest paid one that exists that I understand.
Yeah, the highest paid digital marketing consultant guru guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So George, like a lot of successful people, was running into a piece of his life that didn't feel right. Mm-hmm. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And what piece was that? Because this is his second time here, so let's go back to the first time. What motivated you, George,
Yeah,
to
so
try this shit?
what motivated me to come was I was at the surface trying to save my marriage.
Uh-huh.
Underneath, I was trying to beat my addictions.
Uh-huh.
I've been an addict my entire life. You can change the details, but the core underneath it, from emotional addiction, sex and love addiction, drug addiction, drinking addiction, working out addiction. I was bulimic for 15 years.
Wow.
And I lived this life of trauma. I was in the Marine Corps for 12 years, did 3 combat deployments, witnessed death and suicides and sexual abuse and all of these things that just festered in me that I was fixing, or by reading books and going through life. But what I didn't realize is that underneath I was hurt, and I was hurting everybody around me. I was just a giant abusive, emotional abusive asshole.
And you have a little baby too, right?
I have a 2-year-old son.
Cute kid too.
He's cute.
So things weren't. Hey, Sandy. Hi, Carrie. So things weren't going well.
No.
Is that a fair statement?
That is the fairest statement. Yeah.
And so you heard about this plant medicine shit, and you thought, what? Like, what got you?
Yeah, so a year and a half ago, I'd never done any substance in my life outside of prescription pain pills. Never smoked a cigarette, and my PTSD was to the point where I was hospitalized twice in a psychiatric ward for suicide and depression. And MDMA with a therapist, a shaman, actually is what changed my life.
How beautiful! I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
I knew about the MDMA. I didn't know that you were hospitalized.
And so once that happened, it opened my eyes to plant medicine. And then I started consuming. I read your book. Knew a couple people that had come here, and I said, "This is the next evolution. Like, this is what I."
And how old of a guy were you the first time?
34. Yeah, 34.
And so you read the stuff. You had an experience with MDMA, and you said, okay, I'll give this a try. But when you got here, were you afraid of what you were going to go through?
Oh yeah, I was scared shitless.
So there's a guy that has experience with it, and even he was afraid. Knowing what you were in for.
Yeah. I think I subconsciously knew like what I had in me, but they were my demons. Like, they were in my closet, and nobody else got to see that closet. And I knew with other plants or psychedelics or things like that, it's like going to a conference. You ride the high of it, but once you come out of it, everything kind of goes back. And I learned new language to survive in that addiction.
Interesting.
And so I knew that coming here, like that skeletons and that closet would get wide open. And it was scary.
I know. So, hi Jules, hi James, hi Marion. Everybody responds differently in this situation. When George gets nervous, he just pretends he's someone else. And so I watched him go through his first week, and your first week was amazing.
Profound.
Amazing. And so you have this first week, and then he went home and sent his wife. I had his wife for a week. His wife's beautiful, smart, and had a profound experience. Your wife did.
Goddess is what I would call my wife.
And then they both decided to come back. So now, this is this week that he's here, that we just finished up with about 80 people, and an amazingly powerful week, I would say.
So powerful.
One of the most powerful Wednesday nights we've had in a long time. But George, so why did you and your wife come together back together?
So I came alone, which was part of my addiction. So when I got home, my wife wasn't there. I had a note that said, "Have fun with the kids. Don't call or text me.
Wow.
I'm going to get my miracle at Rythmia."
Is that right?
That's what
And
the
then
note
she
said.
came right.
And
That was crazy.
She swapped planes with me, and I didn't see her at the airport.
How
I had no
cool.
idea.
How cool.
And so we were on the outs,
Uh-huh.
and very rightfully so. And so she came, had her miracle, came home in her power, and said, "This is not working." And I was
Ooh,
like,
baby. Huh.
okay. And through all of that work and continuing that, we've been working together and communicating. Then we said, we need to do this together. And this trip represents our marriage.
Which, for 1 second, you guys, hi Meg, hi Hannah, hi Kevin. Hannah's question is, do you recommend going by yourself or with your husband? I'd say first time, go alone. The first time. Second time, yeah. Now go ahead.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have had our experiences if we had come
No,
together.
you would have been in each other's
Because
shit.
she was here hating
Yeah.
me,
I'm with you.
and I was here trying to save it, but
I
still
know.
in my addiction.
Yeah.
And so then we came together and we said this week, no matter what comes up, we're doing the work, and we're in this container for 7 days. No rash decisions. And Wednesday night, we both had our biggest miracles of everything. What's up, Drew? Love you, brother. And so that's what got us here. And so this trip, the first trip, it showed me a lot of who I was. I was merged back with my soul. I was reborn.
On your first trip, first trip. So we believe in three things here, right? That the medicine wants to show us who we become, and we have to acknowledge that and be aware of it. Then we have to merge back with our soul, and then we get our heart healed. So George, hey Drew. So George had his merger the last time, and a healed heart.
And the healed heart.
And then this time he's with his wife. And tell me, George. So how's it go?
Yeah. So the first.
Well, wait a second. So were you and your wife, when you came back to Stace, when you came back together, were you when you came here, were you solid with her?
No.
This second time?
No.
Okay, good. Now let's go.
We came here basically getting ready for me to move out or separate, or she was basically like, I'm going to make sure, but it's out. There's no possibility. She didn't believe in the possibility of our marriage. And now we're planning our future together and happy and loving and cuddling and joking and I feel free as a human being. And so the first trip prepared me to go back into my life to show me who I became again on a deeper level.
I love that.
And I feel like it healed me at a layer.
Absolutely,
to
yes.
expose the next one.
Absolutely. Boy, you're fucking smart. That's why this guy's a consultant. He's smart. But that's exactly it. So the medicine came and found you where you were at. It hooked you because it wanted to show you more.
Yeah.
And it got your ass back. And then it went to work. Hey, Ross. Hey, Jeff.
And so on this trip, I learned to be gentle. I learned how to trust again, which included trusting myself. And for the first time in my life, I have no shame.
I love that. And
so,
if you know George, there's always, I'm not going to use the word cagey, I'll use the word unsettled.
Unsettled.
When you always had a feeling of being unsettled, and he's a different cat, dude. I'm telling you, I've been watching him with his wife, I've been watching him in ceremony, he is a different guy, you know. So I'm very proud of you too, by the way, because it's not an easy thing. You people that think you're going to come here instead of going to Club Med, this is not a vacation. This is really fucking hard work.
Yeah.
And so hey Ross, Bulla, he's safe in Seattle with me. There you go, dude. So hi Victoria. So tell us, what did the second coming together look like? And how did it affect you and your wife?
Yeah, so the second coming together on this trip, on Monday night, I had profound experiences of peace. It was really gentle. On Tuesday night, I asked the medicine to show me how to trust again. And the medicine showed me that I've been reactive out of survival, rooted in my trauma my whole life. I've never been able to, hey, I'm mad at you, without being like, how can I fix it? What can I do? Where do I go? How do I make it better? To then prove my worth, because my core wound is that I'm not good enough and people leave me.
Yes.
And so she taught me how to trust again, to ride the wave of life and to kind of watch.
How cool.
Which prepared me for Wednesday. And on Wednesday night, I died again in ceremony, except this time it was as a catalyst through my father's death. And my father was an amazing man, and we have quite a tumultuous history, and he was a broken...
Is your dad alive?
No. I pulled my dad off life support on December 6th of 2008 from metastatic brain and lung cancer caused by addiction. And so I always loved my father, and I always wanted him to be proud of me, and I know that he was. And so in my vision and in my night, I saw my father at 35 years old, which is my current age next week. I turned 35. And I saw this one photo, and his eyes were looking at me, and I could see how broken and damaged his body was, but how pure his soul was. And I was shown that in his life, he always loved his family, wanted to care for us, but he was afraid. And so he ran to drugs and ran to disconnection and ran to abuse. Well, he was still trying to do the best that he could because he was afraid to be vulnerable and live in the past of his sexual abuse and all of those things. And so then it brought me to my father's funeral.
So in your journey, he goes to his dad's funeral.
which I was obviously at the first time, and this time I asked the medicine to cure my addiction. And so the medicine showed me how my addiction would play out in my life to end up exactly like my father. And so I was brought to my father's funeral, and I buried myself with my father in my ceremony.
How beautiful.
And once that happened, I was then shown my son. And I got to go through and worship and self-love my body through the creation and the 400 trillion to 1 of creating my son, and what it means to break the pattern and cycle and raise a man to break what has been passed on through generational in our family.
Don't get better than that.
And so then that night I woke up the next morning, and my wife had a pretty heavy experience, but a good one, and I was like, just glowing and radiating.
Of course.
And I was like, she's like, I had this, and she had some anxiety, and she's like, this came up for me, and it was my path, and it didn't land for me.
Hooray.
It didn't affect me. It didn't cause anxiety in me, and I was like, oh my God, tell me more. How can I support you? And
so let me say this.
Yeah.
First off, hi Seja, hi Wayne, hi Paul, hi this guy, can't say your name, hi Sydney. Mr. Singh from India.
It was an ayahuasca ceremony.
It's an ayahuasca ceremony. We're talking about ayahuasca. So George, now it's the morning, and you've been through hell. You buried yourself in your father's grave, and you buried your addiction with yourself, which, by the way, sounds crazy, but it's a very common theme. This theme that he went through is a common theme expressed by the medicine. This act of burying Kaleo, and so that's but very traumatic, because you have to relive the death of your father, the death of yourself, all kinds of shit. So in the morning, you go, and what does your wife say? Because we're in the same ceremony.
Yeah.
Was I in that ceremony?
No. And she was in ceremony asking the medicine if there was a possibility of this working while honoring herself. And before ceremony, we had a massive fight.
Good.
And I called you. You were busy.
Really?
I called Christian was busy. And we had a massive fight. And that fight was brought out by the medicine, because it put us both in the space of our repeated patterns of pain and trauma.
Beautiful.
So we went into ceremony in our addictions.
How cool.
And then on the next morning, she just came up to me and loved me, and she said, there is a possibility. And I said, I know. And that was basically like our morning. And since then, you even heard her today. She's like, I feel like the first time in our relationship, he is in a place to hold space.
I know, she said
and
that.
Stand for our relationship.
I was so happy. I was so happy to hear that. And so okay, so that's Wednesday night.
Yep.
And shit gets aligned. I could tell things were different. I told you.
Totally. You walked right up to me.
I walked right up to him and said, the shift happened. And then Thursday comes, and what happens Thursday?
Yeah, so Thursday with the Yahe was actually...
and Yahe's a jungle brew of ayahuasca that's chunky and delightful. Go ahead.
It was the best tasting Yahe I've had.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And so probably the biggest way that my addiction played out in my life is that I was addicted to external validation. I thrived off the internet, and I had millions of followers in my business. I was the face and an influencer and a New York Times bestseller. And so I created a business that exacerbated my addiction to keep back doors open in my life.
Yeah.
And so I closed that business 3 weeks ago before coming here to stand for my marriage.
And by keep back doors open, you mean keep women
and external validation and all of that stuff in. And so then when I woke up and I go into Thursday was the thing where all the prep work, the medicine had done all the prep work for me to let go of shame.
Yeah.
And my whole thing has always been, people need to like me in order to love me. And so I'm going to share some details, and it was the most beautiful experience in my life. But one of the things I'm always afraid of is looking bad in front of people. I shit my pants on Thursday.
Fantastic.
And it was the best experience of my life.
Yeah,
and it made my soul happy.
Of course.
Because it was just the last bit of holding on. And I was like, it's gone.
Once that goes, there ain't much left.
And I remember I walked up to one of the helpers. I was like, hey, I got a shower. He's like, why? I'm like, I shit my pants. And he's like, congratulations. And I was like, yes. Like, I get it. And I was like, there's no shame anymore. I forgave myself.
That's it. Yeah.
And that whole night, all of
How
Thursday
beautiful.
night was me literally forgiving myself and letting go of all of these things about how I thought it should look or how people should see me. And you know, you have the book Radical Honesty over there by
Yes,
Brad, like,
yeah.
and kind of stepping into that
That's,
space
you
of
gotta
like
get there.
unapologetically authentic,
Beautiful.
focused on the priorities, which means I'm number one, my wife is number two, and my family is number
And
three.
that's the way to be.
And nothing
There you
else
go, man.
will ever mess with
That's
the
it.
sanctity. And when I also
That's it.
saw Pride Rock and The Lion King,
Uh-huh.
I had a vision of me and my wife on how to respect the sanctity of my marriage.
How beautiful.
And it showed me as the lion on the rock with her as my queen, and all the other men and women weren't allowed on our rock. We could talk to them, but they weren't allowed in our space.
And that's how it should be.
And I see it now. And so
Beautiful.
I'm like,
beautiful.
it's like, it's just so different. It's amazing.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
man.
So I
And
don't think I'd ever
and
celebrate
listen,
shitting
we're
pants.
the thing is this too. So then, in the morning, I remember you're talking about this because you and I talked
Yep.
just briefly.
Yep.
But you went and you grabbed a shower after you shit yourself, and you came back.
Yeah.
And then there's this healing circle.
Oh, so
And
beautiful.
so when you were watching this, tell me what was moving in you.
Yeah, the healing circle, the spiritual car wash.
Yeah,
it's like the best
spiritual
term
car
ever.
wash.
Watching it, it put me at peace. And for me, it was the first time I was ever able to watch somebody else have an experience, have healing, or have something profound and not want to make it about me.
Ah, how beautiful.
And I got to
Uh-huh.
witness healing around everybody.
Uh-huh.
And so then when I went up to my spiritual car wash, I was just at peace. Like I was like smiling and laughing and like
Uh-huh.
I was like, whatever you guys want to do, I'm in. Like
Uh-huh.
it was just
Were
it
you
was
still
beautiful.
Were you still drunk?
I was still drunk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was still drunk on the medicine. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, for me, what I think is really beautiful, and you've talked about this a lot, I think also as a man, or in my life, maybe not as a man, I've been biologically wired to try to fix everything.
Sure.
To
Yeah.
do all of the
Yep.
things. And the medicine taught me how to be,
Yep.
and like actually be, not
Yeah.
like I did personal development work be, and
Yeah.
I know how to speak the lingo to manipulate
Exactly.
people.
Uh-huh.
And so I've been with it, and like I've noticed as I've walked around, I've had triggers from the past come up. I've had my old addictions try to creep in, my ego creep in, and all
Uh-huh.
I do is take 2 deep breaths.
And it'll be there.
I center myself in my feelings,
Yeah.
and it just goes away
How beautiful.
every single time.
So now let me ask you this. You know, I can't count. There's been 4,200 and some odd people through the doors here, yeah? And I can't tell you how many marriages were saved. But I know from looking that your marriage is saved.
Me too.
And so, like, what that's worth to someone who has children and you know, like, so many, you're gonna get me crying. So many of us are with the person that we're supposed to be with, and we fucked the whole thing up, yeah? And so this is actually a place that if it's meant to be, like these two are meant to be together. There
We
are
have a
people.
soul contract.
There are people who come here who are not, and this is liberating for them as well. I have couples that come here and they just go, you know what? We're supposed to be friends. That's it, you know. But to come here and to see someone, especially with someone with a little boy like that, not that it wouldn't be just as powerful for a little girl. I should say a little child like that. To see that family unit saved was really something for me this week. To watch it, and it was fucking hit or miss, like half the time.
Oh.
You know? Yeah. But when it's together, it's really, you're together now.
Yeah.
And I can see all the shit's removed, and she was equally as stubborn as you, right?
Uh-huh.
But she's now looking at a long-term thing, and it's beautiful to see. Now, did she merge twice?
I know she
merged
merged the
her
first
first
time. And she said what she came here for on her first time, she got on this trip.
Ah, interesting. Very
And
interesting.
so from my understanding, the merge the first time was the prep work to get the message and the healing on this trip that she was looking for when she was contemplating
Interesting.
our life.
Interesting.
And we have a 13-year-old daughter too, by the way.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and,
I know, because you talk about your son too much.
Well,
Yeah, that's it. Look how cute he is every 2 seconds. I'm like, okay, George. Here's the thing. But what I'm going to tell you is this: is that this thing works in its own way. It works at its own pace. It works by its own list of things. Like it has an order, and that order a prioritization, and that will not be your prioritization. It does it its own fucking way.
Yes.
And it only does its own fucking way, and you can't influence how it's going to do it.
No.
It's in charge, and it fixes shit.
And that's why my first trip, I was trying to influence it. I came here so it could fix
to
me.
drive it.
This time I came here surrendered, like at my wit's end. Like you say, the best space to be is confused,
Yep.
not knowing,
Yep.
scared,
Yep.
and surrendered.
That's where you want to be.
And that's where you want to be.
That's
And
how you wanna be to get it.
that's where I came this time.
That's
And so,
wonderful.
Yeah.
That is wonderful.
This is a good question for you.
Is it possible that Mama I can go away? Can you send her a block her behavior? In my own opinion, nothing you can do can influence her. So the thing is, like, what you can do is fuck yourself up.
Yeah.
That's very easy to do. I'm very an expert at it. But you can't influence her. So like, don't worry. And I want to tell you guys this. Please, there's a number up on the screen. It's 866-936-9446. Please, please, please call that number if you have questions. And you know, some people, like George is a high earner in a very lucrative life. There are people that come here that take their last money to come here. And I got to tell you, the greatest thing about it is that they always get more than what they came for. So the first thing you want to do with something like this is call up and make an appointment, even if it's a year down the road.
Yep.
Get a place, get your hat in, because the medicine starts working the moment that you make the thing, that it knows you're coming. And these synchronicities and revelations start happening in your life. And it sounds like a guy selling shit, and I fucking hate the sound of that, but it's just
true.
the truth. It's the truth of how this shit works. So please, dial this number, and if you have questions, dial this number. Everybody at that number, 866-936-9446, has done the medicine and been here. So you can ask them a question and ask them if they should be afraid of this, if you can eat that, all these different things. And listen, we love to see you here. Look at George is a frequent flyer now. You probably can meet him the next time you're down.
We'll be here a lot.
He's going to be here a lot. Hi, Shanti.
I think that's I thought it was going to be a one-time thing. And the medicine was so intense the first time. But it put something in me that like gave me space, and then after a little bit of time I was like, I want the medicine. I want Mother Ayahuasca again. I want to come back. And then all the fears of like, oh, it tastes gross or I'm going to puke, it all went away, and I came back. And I had somebody ask me, like, if you had to weigh this in your life on the priority of importance of going to Rythmia, I said if I had no money and nothing, I would apply for a credit card with a $5,000 limit, and I would put my last dime on it.
Interesting.
Because it would literally, there's no value that can be put on something, especially a pretend thing like money. That's just an institutionalized thing, which is a whole different conversation. But I think it was
George, your crazy's coming out.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so here's what.
Just come. It's just beautiful.
Just come down here.
Just come down.
So I have to say this, though. I will say this with that whole idea of where does this go in your life? Is there any price you can put on feeling whole? Like, fuck. You know what I'm doing? I used to make money when I was a younger guy. I made a lot of money. And the thing is that I took a 97% pay cut to do this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I get out of it. I get to watch people who are in such pain free themselves of pain. And that is the thing. You watch people every week get out of pain. This is the greatest thing, the greatest way a guy. I have the best job in the world.
You literally do.
It's fucking grind, but it's a great, great, great job. And I'm really appreciative of it. So we don't want to take any more of your time today. I want to thank my friend George for coming down and doing the hard fucking work, and his wife for doing an equally hard job of hard work. We love to have you here. Come on in. Next year is going to be even more busy than this year. Please call up, make an appointment. What's that called? Make an appointment. Schedule your trip. Schedule your trip because you don't know how busy we're going to be. And we grow every single year, and the reason we're growing is because we're doing a fucking amazing job. We're really doing it. we're doing it. So thank you guys. Thank you, George. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed holiday season. And we'll talk to you right after the holiday season. Peace.
Thank you, guys.
Peace, guys. Thank you.